Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Vibing with Sleezy, the podcast. This is season 2, episode 21, the official season finale of season 2 of the show. I want to thank everyone for supporting, listening, downloading from season 1, season 2. I know there's longtime supporters, short time, new listeners. I just can't say thank you enough. I love doing this show. It's been a total blast. I really just enjoy all aspects of it, expressing myself, talking to people, letting people express their stories, meeting people. And it's been an incredible pleasure. And I'm excited for season 3. I'm going to do in the future, in the summer. I have to take a few month breaks just for mental, just to get back focused on life because this show is a lot of work. I mean, I work my ass off on this show, booking and getting it uploaded, checking everything, making sure everything runs smoothly. But it's been a blast, and I'm happy to do it, and I love to do it. And I have a lot of creative ideas I want to do in the future from the standpoint of t-shirts and merchandise, and I'm definitely be working on that. That's something I hopefully plan on working on this spring. And and just keep bringing great guests. I mean, my guests have been phenomenal. I mean, I've had reoccurring guests, I've had new guests, and the stories are amazing, and it's just been a fucking total blast. I can't say that enough. So this show is the first show I've ever done solo, and it's an idea that a lot of fans have said, a lot of friends, even guests have said, you should do a vibing with Sleezy, where Sleezy vibes with Sleezy. I vibe with myself, and I love the idea. People said I should, share my story, share, who the host is, share part of my life. So I thought it was a great idea because this is the final episode. I always do 21 episodes per season. And coming to the final episode, I thought, you've gotten such great content from me in these past 2 seasons. This is the perfect time. And then especially the more listeners come in, and I'll always be posting here in the next few months of just flashbacks and just talking about where it's at and on all the platforms, and doing my typical marketing that I love to do. But yeah, so when I thought about this episode, I don't go into a lot of episodes really even brainstorming. I do a little research at sometimes, but a lot of it is just common knowledge, or I learn about the person, or I just get to know the person. And that's what I always love to do as the guest. And I was thinking of different ways of doing this show, of how I would really dive into it, because it's not awkward at all, but it's a different concept of just recording yourself, and not doing something like musically or having a guest on. So but this will be fun. I'm just gonna kind of go with the flow on it and brainstorm, and you know just vibe with myself, and so and hopefully vibe with you all, and hopefully you all will get a bigger appreciation for the show, for what my journey is, what my story is, and also kind of what I want to do, and and just kind of my mindset on things. So I'll start off by diving into why I do the show for people that are listening. So I have been told for years to do a podcast. I've always been a storyteller. I've always been a creator. I've always been someone that loves to express himself. And I've done, a lot of different creative outlets, but this was something I've always wanted to do. And there was nothing holding me back from it. It was just, to be honest, in my opinion, busyness, laziness, unfocused to really start a podcast. And people just continued pushing me. People continued telling me, you need to do this show. You need to get this going. You need to um, start a podcast. And the more people that said it, the more it just started creating a dream and an image in my brain to, I really need to do this fucking show. And I started coming with ideas. All this was my concept and ideas from the Vibing with Sleazy and naming each episode where Sleezy vibes with the guest. And I love that concept. And I've picked up a lot of stuff from different podcasts that I listen to, sports ones like Dan Patrick's show. I've picked up things from like hip hop ones like the No Jumper podcast. I also pick up, interviewing skills like Vlad TV and certain places like that where I try to pick up different things. Um, and a lot of those shows had kind of motivated me to come up with the idea of what I wanted to make my show. So I ended up just buying the equipment, went all out, spent, a few $100, got everything I needed. I am an audio production major, so that did help. I also did, of course, reach out to other audio buddies to kind of get their recommendations as well. Loved what I got. The audio setup, I couldn't be more happy about. It's been fantastic. So I set it all up, hook it up to my laptop. I'm able to do it here at the house, travel with it. I've also used Zoom, which Zoom's been incredible as well. I've shouted that out a lot on the season 2. It's really helped to be able to connect with guests in other states and other countries, which has been fantastic. But yeah, so I bought the equipment and started diving in, did my own research, and I was really proud of myself because I did all this work solo. I went to work on it. I dove in and really figured out everything I needed to do, and that's what kind of got me really excited to do it because I started really feeling comfortable, and I was like, this is the way to go. So I shout to buzzsprout.com. That's who I use to stream my podcast. They have got my podcast on all platforms. They are such an easy feature. They've able let me promote, change things, put artwork up. Really, in my opinion, they have been the lifeline of this podcast, and it has got my podcast doing so well. And it's also spread to so many countries and continents, which is just incredible. I haven't checked. I want to see if I reached South America. That was my last goal. I had reached every continent, and I had done that with my music as well, with my sleazy music, and that was always an honor to me to know that my art or my creation was spread out into other countries and continents. So I've been extremely blessed in that aspect, just for people supporting, listening. I've tons of international friends. Shout out to all of them. I love them to death. And I know they support and listen, which, really makes me happy. But at the end of the day, with this show, I just found Buzzsprout, was able to figure out how to get on a platform, started kind of thinking like who I would have on. And I just fucking ran with it. Season 1 was incredible. People were supporting, listening. I couldn't believe the people that were reaching out. And with season 1, I really just started off with Sean P, professional wrestling referee, and then I had an episode with Sarah Odom, who was a big pusher to get me to start a podcast. And we talked ghost, paranormal stuff, and I thought that was incredible. Such a great episode. And the more and more I dove in, it just got better and better. I got to meet new people like Paul Cody Travel said, Paige, who, Contrary Cherry, she's become one of my best friends, huge supporter of the podcast. And, the list goes on. And I had some wild episodes, had some chill episodes, and it just was great. And then I feel like season 2 has really opened up to bringing people from the past in, also bringing new guests in, hearing people's stories, emotions, support, a lot of realness, and which, I always keep it real, always keep 100. I spit fucking facts, and that's 100%. Never misinformation on my show. And, always clarify, always research. And I have people on that, in my opinion, are doing great things and doing things that need to be shared or have an incredible story. And so that's what I've really done with this podcast. So this podcast has turned out amazing. And, of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify is where this is the mainstreamed and the number one go-to spot. But at the end of the day, for it to be over 14 platforms and be able to be streamed worldwide, it's just incredible. And it's incredible where the world's become. I mean, it's 2022. There's, of course, negatives in the world, but there's tons of positives as well. And we always have to remember that. That's very important. So, my name is Eric Clark, but a lot of people call me Sleezy E or Sleaze or Hibachi Sleaze. Just tons of nicknames over the years with the Sleaze reference. And, you know, I'll say this before I kind of dive into my story. That nickname was created when I played high school basketball for J Town. I'd be shooting free throws and people would be like, Sleazy, easy peasy, wheezy, easy, easy. And just making up different names, and something stuck. And a couple of the players were like, yeah, Sleazy E, that sounds cool. Well, I rode with it. Well, next thing you know, it spread through the high school. I had teachers calling it. My parents had it on my birthday cake. I had friends calling me at the whole school during the pep rally, stood up and chanted Sleazy E, which was fucking incredible. I felt like I was in the Coliseum in Rome. That's something I've been also very thankful and blessed that people have always loved me and and appreciated me, and I don't say it in a cocky way. I say it in a very humble way, that I'm appreciative of it, that people have always supported, and they supported the movement and scene. And Sleazy's become my legacy. And some people be like, Sleaze, but no, it's not in a negative way. Sleazy's me, and people love that. And I have music, I've done this podcast, and it's just cool to have that nickname and for people to remember that, and people to know that's me and not see it in a negative light and more of a positive light. And that's what's so dope, because it was just a fun nickname, and it's taken off with not only, like I said, my rap, but doing this show and this my social medias. And it's cool because nobody has that nickname and people like it, and it just sticks with people. And I love that people call me that. Like, I love that I earned a nickname. It wasn't wasn't a created nickname. It was given to me. And that's what I love about this life, is because a lot of stuff was given to me because of how hard I worked. But with just that nickname, it might sound silly to some, but it was just cool that, to have something stick like that and be able to really brand with it and run with it. And, you know, and I think I've used it in such a positive light. It's been really cool. So that's kind of how the nickname started, Sleazy. But my name's Eric Clark, born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky, in the United States of America. And I was born in 1989, October 11th. I'm a Libra, and so I am 32 years old, going on 33, which it's just really crazy to think about, saying that I'm, 32 going on 33. It's just crazy. But I will say this: I've had a very blessed and incredible life. The things I've got to accomplish and do have been awesome, and I'm very honored. I thank God. I thank just the people that have been in my life, because it has really, my family, my friends, it really has gotten me here. And I'm thankful for so many, but I'm just thankful for all the memories and the great things. So it's been a great 32 years of life. And so, born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky, I remember as a kid, I was really big, into X-Men and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and um, you know, all these different things, which I thought were so cool. That I had an awesome childhood. I'll shout out to my family on that. Like, always had cool stuff. And I was really into, I just remember Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a big thing to me, and like the Action Sharks. So I always remember that as a kid, and like Taz. And then the older I got, kind of probably between, like, I don't know, 6 and 15 area, I was huge into sports cards. And that's what really got me into sports, from the standpoint I collected bobbleheads, which I love bobbleheads, and figurines, and just sports cards in general. I run around the neighborhood, we make trades, and everybody talk about it. It was just so exciting. And pull opening packs, and we had so many great sports card shops around Louisville growing up. Superb Collectibles in Fern Creek, shout out to that. It's our RIP. All pretty much a lot of the great sports card shops are gone. Um, so it was sad, but it not only like sports cards were so great because it got me into sports. I watched sports. I was just a huge sports kid. I had tons of sports stuff, and then I started playing. I played baseball and basketball. I not only played in the neighborhood, but I started playing in leagues. I started playing for teams, started meeting people, and I just fell in love. And but I loved all sports in general. I tried them all. I competed. It was so much fun. And growing up in Louisville's a great place to play sports and grow up, especially in the 90s and the 2000s when I did play. It was incredible, and there was tons of great athletes around. And so middle school, I remember I was playing on 3 different teams: AAU for my school, for the Optimists, and then I go to high school. I played high school ball, and I played baseball and basketball in high school for Seneca and J-Town, and I played for Myers in middle school, and played on a lot of AAU teams. So sports was a huge part of my life, still is. Love fantasy football. I have tons of autographs. I still collect sports stuff. And a big part of my childhood, which I'll shout to my dad and mom, for making happen, was, I got to go to a lot of sporting events, like Wayne Gretzky's second to last away, or no, excuse me, his last away game at the United Center in Chicago against the Blackhawks. Who's playing for the Rangers. That he was my favorite player. I was a huge hockey fan as a kid, obsessed with hockey. Still have tons of hockey stuff from that. And I love the sport. Still a big fan. Got back into it in college when I lived in Nashville and was a big Predators fan. But hockey was a huge part of my life. And I had hockey sticks, pucks, and I played. And I was learning how to skate, and I had the jerseys, and I go to these games. And I remember Brett Hall. He's my favorite player besides Wayne Gretzky. He played for the St. Louis Blues, and he threw me a hockey puck. I still got it. And I was telling my girlfriend this story when I got during COVID. I had some extra money, and I went and bought a Brett Hall autograph puck, and I still got it with a certificate of authenticity. So hockey was a big part of my life, and I still respect it. I still watch when it comes on, and my girlfriend's got me back into it, and I'm starting to watch it more. And it's just it was so cool back then. And so with sports, that was just such a big part of my life. And then also and besides going to like sporting events and games, and I remember going to seeing Randy Moss play the Colts, the Vikings versus the Colts on December 24th on Christmas Eve. That was cool as shit. That was a great Christmas experience. So there was a lot of great times when it came to sports. But music was a big part of my life. I listened to music. I was really into music. I remember my first album I ever bought was the Baha Men, Who Let the Dogs Out, guys. And then I bought Outkast, Big Boy and Dre Present, which really got me into hip hop and rap. And I'll shout out to my neighbor that lived across the street, Andrew Abel. I haven't talked to that guy in a long time. Hope he's doing well. I haven't seen that guy in years, but he really got me into rap and hip hop, which that's a huge part of my life. And got me into Eminem. I remember I rode the bus and I sat next to his 8th grader as a 6th grader, and he let me listen to his Marshall Mathers LP, and I thought it was so cool. And I finally got the album, and I was fucking pumped. And I had so many albums and CDs, and was just really into listening to different music. And I also got into the rock, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and anybody I could try to like pick up and listen, Modest Mouse. And then even got into reggae, with Bob Marley and the Wailers, and Damon Marley, and just a lot of people I could try to pick up, Beanie Man, and different people like that. So it was I was definitely exposed to great music. My family was always big in music listeners, and we had a lot of family friends and friends I knew that listened to music. And like I said, my neighbors, kids on the bus, people I went to school with. And then I played basketball, so got to listen to different music people, my teammates had, and we listened to rap and different things, and we all had our own songs, and that's what was so cool. So, I'll say this, music was a big part of my life. I have an audio production degree. That is what I went to college for. I did rap. So Sleezy is my rap name. You can find it on all platforms. My biggest hit was Getting Shitty, and I also have Ordinary Weekend. And, I was able to produce and engineer a lot of great songs, and really had a great run with the music thing. Got to play in studios and record, and I got to be the president of the Grammy U's, and I've been invited to the Grammys several times and gone to Grammy parties, and been I'm my label, I'm part of ASCAP, and I got my music on all platforms, and I get the publishing rights, and I still get I get paid on that, and I've got to work with some great artists too, and just had some good times with it, and got to meet Drake, got to meet Katy Perry, I've got to um, meet Dave Barnes, I've got to meet Anthony Kiedis and Red Hot Chili Peppers, several big artists, and I've had great experience with that. And then I've seen some amazing concerts. I've got to see Eminem, who I've always wanted to see in Detroit. I've got to see Outkast. I got to see that in the same year, which was huge. The Red Hot Chili Peppers, Ludacris, Lil Wayne, Jay-Z, the list goes on. I've been very blessed with the concerts I've seen. And then in 2019, I got to go to tons of festivals. Bonnaroo was mind blowing to me. I got to knock that off my bucket list, and that's a big part of my life, is knocking things off my bucket list, getting things done, accomplishing things. And I'm always, I'm like Anthony Bourdain, rest in peace, shout out to him. I'm always hungry for more. I'm always trying to accomplish or see things. And, from what I have seen, especially like I said, with what I was talking about in the past, sports and music, I've had a great time seeing that. And those two have really been a big part of my life. And I feel like they're important for me to bring up is because they have really helped me, in my opinion, be more creative. I've met so many people. I've had people on the show that I've met through sports or music or going to school or going to these concerts. And, and that's what's so cool to me. And that's why those two things are probably the most important things in my life, is like sports and music, because I enjoy it. I love it, and it keeps me going, keeps me engaged. And I'm always got sports radio on, or I'm listening to music, and I feel like I can do anything when those are on. And so I've had a great life with that stuff. And so my life was, like I said, big on sports and big on music. I also, besides traveling, I was blessed with having a lot of foreign exchange students at my schools, and I met a lot of great people from that. So that's really opened, my friendships up to international backgrounds. And I've really enjoyed that, learning about different cultures. And that's something that I've been very thankful to as well. The way I was raised and all the schools I went to, and like I said, sports and music and getting to know other kids and everything. I've been open to other cultures, open to other religions, open up to other people. And that's what I'm very thankful for, especially living in Louisville, living in places where or associating with people, in areas where, you know, they kind of think like me, where they're open minded and level headed, and just, are loving and welcoming of everybody. And that's who I am, and that's what I've become. And I'm so thankful for that, because that is part of, my childhood and my life and who I've been. So I've been very thankful for all the people I've met, and I've learned so much. And I just I'm very thankful every day that I'm a loving, welcoming person, because it's the way to go. It's the way you should live your life, and I'm thankful that way. But besides, sports and music being a big part of my life, and like growing up, I went to like I said, I went to Fern Creek Elementary, Myers Middle, Seneca, then J-Town High School, and all four were great, had great education. And then I ended up graduating college at the Art Institute of Tennessee, Nashville, and graduated that back in 2010. And that was a great run. And that's where I've met, several of my guests, several of my best friends. Shout out to, Jama Mohammed, one of my best friends. He met him in college, met a lot of Nick, Dino, a lot of my fancy football friends that I still play with, and Christine and all these different people that I've built these friendships. It's been incredible. And, that's one thing, again, like I said, I'm thankful about is that I've developed so many great friendships and people just of all different personalities and lives. And I'm always about cherishing moments, cherishing relationships. So I'm always trying to stay in touch with people. That's something I've always been big on, a part of my life. I remember as a kid, I used to write my favorite athletes and musicians and people for autographs, and I would get stuff in the mail. And so I was always an expressive type, and so it was always nice to stay in touch. And that's something I'm just big on. It doesn't matter if you're international or here, or you live in Louisville, or you live, uh, 800 miles away. I'll stay in touch, especially with social media. You got to take advantage of it. And you know, with social media, I love that I live in this age because I can stay in touch with so many people. And I look at sometimes my friends list or people that are on my news feed, and I'm like, man, I have such a diverse friend group, which is so cool. And oh, I remember meeting them there, or I remember meeting them there. And it's cool too to think that a lot of my friends are just from one-time meetings. And that's what I like to do. I like to make an impact. And legacy is very, very important to me. Something recently happened. I got a brick in my high school, J Town. That's awesome on the football field, a legacy brick, which I thought was so cool. And then I have one at the J Town Library, and people to give that to me, for donating, being part of the school, for winning the homecoming king, being creative. Also at the library for my neighbor who gave that to me as a gift. Those honors are so cool. And with my legacy, big key to me is like I want to try everything. Life is so short. I've learned that from recent deaths and friends that have passed away, and it really opens your eyes up. And that's why I'm a published poet. I'm honored about that. Published musician. I have the podcast now that season 2 is about to wrap up. 2 seasons of that. All these things are achievements to me. And again, I'm not flexing. I'm not bragging. I'm very humble about it. It's just the reason I say it all is like that's who I am. That's what I want my life to be remembered as. Like, man, he was doing it all. And when I hear people say that, or like, hey, I see you're doing this, or hey, like I was DoorDash and I ran to the Joella's chicken owner. He's a multi-millionaire, has like 10 restaurants. He's like, Sleezy, he's like, I see the podcast, I see you're always doing things. I'm always keeping in touch with you. And I'm like, that's cool to me to see, that's just one person, but just people say that. And and it's just it's an honor to me. And that people see that but that's who I want to be remembered is. I'm always traveling, I'm always trying to do things because life is short. I could die tomorrow, you could die tomorrow. And that's what I want people to take from this too. A lot of these stories are just to show, it's just like this is who I am. And you got to live life to the fullest. And I'm always trying to provide some kind of lesson on my show or some kind of life motivation. And I go through my challenges, my ups and downs every day, but you really do have to live life to the fullest. You got to be a productive person and try things, do things. It's incredible. Recently I just did a cooking class, which I thought was so fucking cool. I got to learn pretty much a multi-course meal, and got to drink wine while doing it, which is always a plus. And thought that was really, really cool. And and that's again just trying to dive in and do something. And i I just I'm so honored to that I've been blessed with like great career and jobs. Right now you know I'm kind of in the job market looking to see what's out there. And but I've had a great run. I mean, I can really say that with Budweiser, that was a great run. Tons of life lessons, but tons of cool free beer stuff, great trips. That's where I worked in my early 20s, to kind of dive into where I've worked. And then, I went to was a uniform soap company manager for a little bit, and then I got a Leo Weekly and spent over 5 years there. And great run, did over 300 events, wrote for the paper, sold advertising. That was a weekly publication. So I was part of a lot of issues. And I love having that legacy, with Leo Weekly. It didn't come to the end that I wanted because of COVID. But, I left a mark, always expressed myself, always stood up for what's right. And I felt like I was a big part of the community. And I look around my house, there's a lot of, I have articles framed, or I still got copies, or I got awards from different banquets I went to. And it was so cool being part of Leo. And Leo Weekly was such a great run. I have no regrets with that. And I'm so thankful that that was a part of my life. And, Leo Weekly got me into so many free concerts, so many free festivals. I got to travel for them, like, and doing Churchill Downs magazine, and doing Voice Tribune of Louisville and the Voice of Louisville while I was working there. All that was an honor, and that's a legacy of mine. And that's cool that my name was published in so many publications, and that's a huge thing to me. And and I have no regrets, and I have so many memories from that. And that was probably one of the most important parts of my life. And then I've been doing property management. I worked with the Stouts, worked with a couple other companies. So I've worked for some great companies. I've also worked for some shitty ones. And but life is all about lessons. So I've really learned that. And I've taken advantage of technology with like door dashing. It's become such a great career move for me. And also doing this podcast and doing creative outlets and doing events. It's been great. And I can say this, I'm really happy where my life is. I'm constantly working hard. I got to constantly improve. I got to constantly grind, but I'm blessed, and it's been an amazing life. And it feels good to be able to have a podcast and express, how you feel about your life. And I love life, and you should too. And, there's going to be shit days and there's going to be positive days. And I have to always tell that to myself as well. But you got to keep moving, you got to keep trucking, and you got to move in that positive direction, and you got to leave your mark. And everybody has a legacy, remember that, and it's key. And you want to have a positive legacy of what impact you made on people, give back, help people. You never know what people are going through. That's a big lesson that I've learned. And you also have to remember to also express yourself, defend yourself, stand up for what's right, and just try to find that source of happiness for each day. I know it can be hard sometimes, but it's there, and I'm always here. Reach out, definitely. But I have been very thankful, for, like I said, for my life, of what I've got to accomplish and see. And in there's just so much that is mystery. There's so much that is hard to figure out sometimes, but you really just got to dive in and really try to see what you can absorb, or what you can find out is the way to change certain situations. And like I said, life is always a lesson. Life can be a curveball, and you just gotta figure it out sometimes, and stay strong. But I know it can be hard. So anybody that is dealing with anything that's tough, I'm always here. I hate hearing about suicides, and that's been big on my podcast. I hate hearing about death. I hate hearing about people going through negative things. Like I said, we all go through it. I go through it, but just remember, I'm here. Reach out. I love you, and I'm here to support and help. But yeah, so to kind of get back, just to think back, it's like I said, sports big part of my life, music. I kind of talked about my education and my work, and also talked about the blessings, and talked about legacy. So like I said, that's kind of my story in a nutshell from that aspect, and talked about the podcast. But also, I'm a big collector. I love collecting things. Something that I really love as well, besides doing the podcast, is eBay. I've learned so much from that. I've sold so many things, from past collectibles, things I found. I'll go out to Goodwill and spend 25 bucks and buy a bunch of stuff and flip things. There's a great episode at Sleezy Vibes with Casey Jones. Check it out. We talk about this, but marketplace, yard sales, all these places that I've either found things or sold things. That's been an incredible thing. And that's something I think everyone should take advantage of. If you got some junk laying around, sell it. You never know. I've found gems. I've made money, and I've been honored to help a lot of people. A lot of people reach out. I set up deals with them where I pay them out a certain percentage. They pay me out, and we get rid of their stuff. And I've helped an elderly lady. I've helped a lot of people in that aspect. So it's been great. And I've got to do this in Louisville, Nashville. Like I said, I was born and raised in Louisville. Spent 18 years here, and then moved to Nashville for 4, and then been back here ever since. And I'm ready to move again, travel some more. Not that I don't love Louisville; it's home, but I've done it all. I've seen it all, and I've had a great run. And I know it's always a place I can come back to. Same with Nashville, but I like to see what's out there, and I'm definitely hoping to explore that in the future. But it's something that I think is important. I definitely, besides just traveling, is actually living other places, seeing it. So it's always fun going other places and imagining living there. That's something that's always great with traveling. And I think it'd be fun to live somewhere where there's like pro sports. Um, but shout out to Louisville Bats. They've been doing some great things with their stadium. That was a big thing in my childhood too, going to Bats games, and still go now to this day. And it's always cool to see what they've done with that ballpark. And and being a Cincinnati Reds fan, it's cool to have that team associated with them, to be in your own city. Um, Other than that, trying to say things to see like things to really learn about me and to know who I am, is that you know I'm also a person that is a big animal lover. I'm a zoo advocate. I've part of the Aquarium Zoo Association. I've been to over 40 zoos and aquariums, and that's been a big part of my life since a kid. Loved animals, love giving back. I've given back to the Kentucky Humane Society. I've owned animals. I watch animals all the time for people, but zoos have been a big part of my life. Zoos do get a horrible bad rep sometimes, which is so stupid, because conservation is key. I'll argue with anybody. Zoos are incredible. We have species because of zoos, especially with tigers. And especially just for example at the Louisville Zoo, the Addicts, which is an antelope type species. There's only like 20 in the world, and we have bred them, and we have them at our zoo. And there's all these incredible animals. If you really dive into the zoo and learn and go to others and explore, you'll see different species you'll never seen before, and you'll learn how we classify animals. There's different types of primates. There's different types of elephants. There's different types of species all around, of all different kinds of animals. But when you go to these zoos, you really learn how to read them and sense them and see emotion. And so the people that see it in negative light, you got to open up your box and realize the research, the learning that's done, the medical help from just not only just the reptiles, and just so much. I've learned so much from the zoo, and people go out there with me and they're like, hey, teach me some. And I love to, because there's so much to teach about the animals. And it's cool to get, learning. I go out there with my cell phone. We're blessed at the Louisville Zoo to have a gorilla that loves seeing cell phone pictures of other gorillas. And so I'll flip through Google Images, and, he'll use his finger to flip. And I love that. And, um, I'm always trying to make a connection with the animals, especially with the photography and getting their visuals. I've had great pics of like walrus, orangutans, and I love doing that, because I not only just for memories, and I love documenting all the zoos I've gone to, but just getting those shots. And I took a bunch of great tiger shots once at the Knoxville Zoo. I went with Justin Rogers and Amber Rogers, and I got that in the Smithsonian Magazine, or I was in a contest, and it was at the Kentucky State Fair last summer. And to have my photo at the fair, that was an honor to me. Like that's shit that I've wanted to accomplish and do, and that's what I'm always aspiring to do. So zoos are incredible, and I want to see more and keep visiting them. And I'm actually going to be going down to the Atlanta Zoo here in a couple weeks, so I'm really excited about that. They have a great panda exhibit. The city of Atlanta and the Atlanta Falcons owner have done a lot for that zoo, so it's a great one to visit. So I'm excited to go back down there and check that out, and especially go see the Georgia Aquarium, which is the best aquarium in the world, one of the best tanks and biggest tanks I've ever seen. So I'm really, really excited about this whole experience to go see all that again. But yeah, that's a big part of my life. And I've taken friends, I've taken girlfriends, I've you know had great experiences doing that. So that's always been fun. And but besides that, I'm a man of many things. I just like to live life to the fullest and try things, but I'm always learning, always trying to adapt, and and always try to improve in all aspects of life. And I think everyone should do that every day. No one should get too comfortable. They should always try to look for room for improvement, or and work hard and get to that point. But life has been, it can be a roller coaster, but like I said, you are the creator of your ride, and you gotta see where you can take it. But with this show, I like I said, it's been great 2 seasons. I'm excited to see about season 3. I'm not putting any pressure on myself from who I'm gonna book, because it's gonna happen towards the summer. And I think once I'm into the summer and life's flowing, you meet new people, you think of ideas, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. And there's things I want to do and try. Will it happen? We'll have to see. I just have to work and make sure all the logistics get together. But again, the people that have supported, listened, and loved, I can't thank you enough. And again, this episode wasn't to like brag on myself or just talk about Eric, but it's just to introduce myself and talk about my life and my journey and where I've become. And I've had crazy stories, and I share them on all the podcasts, and I have wild stories. And anything you want to hear, reach out. I'm an open book. But this episode was really just dive into my life, talk about who I am. Like I said, born, raised in Louisville, and get to know the host. So for really anybody that's just a friend of a guest that's like, who is this guy? Or I want to know, like, I'm Eric Clark, aka Sleezy. So I'm just all about creating a legacy, all about leaving a mark, and all about just living a positive impact on people and others, and living a positive life. And that's what you should do every day, and really try to do that, and aspire to do that. It's hard, it's challenging, but it is doable. And and there's so many things out there. So if there's anything else you want to know about me, questions, reach out, comment, message. I'm excited to answer anything. And this might not be the longest episode or the most episode full of content, but it was really just, like I said, introduce myself and talk about the show and talk about kind of my story. And this is Vibing with Sleezy, the podcast. And again, Facebook, Vibing with Sleezy, the podcast, Instagram, Vibing with Sleezy, the podcast, Vibing with Sleezy at gmail.com. I answer to everybody, I respond. I have tons of guests out. If you want to be a guest, if you have a guest, recommend. I'm always open-minded. I'm always listening. I'm always learning. Anybody that has reached out, I am considering, I take in considerations. There's people I'm not going to have on the show. There's people I'm going to have on the show. It is my show, but it's nothing personal. But it also, anybody that has been on, like I said, it's been an honor, and I love. It's all love. And also too, for people that haven't been, don't give up. There's going to be more content. I want to continue doing this. Season 3 will be another 21 episodes, and a break, then do season 4, and then that'll be the continued pattern. But I just hope to keep building the brand, building on social media, building the followers, building the listeners. And just again, thank you thank you so much. That's another big part of this episode, is to express the gratitude, the love that you all have done to make this realistic, to make this a possibility, and to make this just worthwhile doing. If no one was listening or supporting, who gives a fucking shit about this? But you all are, and you all want more, and that's what I fucking love, and it makes me hungry. And again, just live life to the fullest, enjoy it, and realize that people are here for you, people love you, and I love you. And I am Eric Clark, aka Sleezy. This is Vibing with Sleezy season 2 finale. We are out. Peace. I'll see you this summer for season 3. It's all love, baby.